make sure that you have someone who is a media contact. Everyone in your group knows what that media contact is.
The designated media contact, you want to always make sure that they have copies of this with them by reading the press release. And also speaker bios, if there's a speaker present, they can hand to the press something that they can take back with them so they don't misquote you. Be aware of the event details, etc., etc. So once you want it to be well written, and you want it to be something that they can just slice and chop apart and stick in a newspaper however they need to. I'm coming from an arts background where, your job as an artist is to show the viewer where you want them to look. This flyer, for example, contrast is a big thing. You want to catch the eye. Outlining helps. Anything with like a texture, like dots or lines, you'll be like, what is that? It attracts your attention. Same way why you don't want to wear stripes when you're being filmed, because it kind of dances on the screen a little. That's called a visual vibration, and it attracts attention. Also the contrast, whenever you have a dark color next to a light color, bam, it's going to stick out. Yeah. So another thing you can do is create a card. This is a card for Hillary Clinton. It's sort of a funny card. You can find this online, CODEPINK.org. This is basically letting her know, hey, look, gal, you're not listening. Considering making your flyers, don't waste the backside. Do not waste space, really. You want to make sure to have something on both sides. And also, separating maybe with boxes, having the website clear. But also an image also attracts attention. Otherwise, your flyer is just going to blend in with everybody else's. This was really cool. This was the Maui Peace portrait, where they made this into like a postcard so they can send it out through the mail. Another thing Ben and Shanna talked about was the idea of bookmarks. You can leave these at, when you're advertising for an event or you're educating. A few things that we do in CODEPINK is are 3 different levels of sort of outreach. We have a legislative section. We also have an education section. And we also do direct action. So a lot of times, this is one way that we can educate is through, a mission statement there, a little picture to kind of, pull out the image, make it happy, and also you always want your website on everything.
Here we want to really talk about, how does one do activism and how to make the work that you want to do more effective.
You need to know your issue, right? And then you need to recognize, I guess, the target that you want to demonstrate that issue to at any one time, and then you reach into your toolkit of tricks, basically, of different visuals, of a lot of stuff that Laurie was talking about, and you try to apply that, or maybe even make up something new, creatively address the issue to the person, like if Bush was coming to town, to Bush, or to Claire McCaskill, or to whatever venue that you, or in a hearing in Congress, whatever venue you want to speak to in that moment. It could be people driving down the street, it could be the press that you're aiming at, it could be a particular politician that you want to hear what you have to say, or it could be a combination of all these things.
And I was out there by myself, and then it was 2 of us, and then it was 3 of us, and we would get lots of middle fingers as people went by, and as the years went by, we would get a lot more thumbs up. And I would recommend to anybody, you got an hour free time, get a pink sign and write Hung for Peace and stand on a busy street corner, because you'll be surprised.
If you had a big sign that said, cost of the Iraq War, whatever, and it's going to go up every week. So if you're there every week, eventually people that go by it every week are going to say, hey, that's going up. It was $6 billion less last week. Something like that.
You can also bring a resolution to the student body and ask them to vote on something. Every time you bring something up to a elected body or some organizational, a union body or something, you're forcing them to discuss your issue, which is a positive thing no matter which way it goes. Press conference. And especially if you do it in an interesting place, like standing in front of a school that just had its budget cut. And if you would get some teachers there with you that have just been dismissed because there's not money for them to keep teaching there, or they just got their budget cut in half, or, something just happened, and you were there with the teacher, you were there with the student, and you were there as a community activist or a parent saying, what is happening to our communities, this is not good for us, you will get press coverage for that. And you know what? If you don't, so what? You've tried, and you'll try something else. We have an activist training. Well, let's have an action. Tomorrow is International Women's Day. This group, Women to Women International, came out with a report that studied 1,500 Iraqi women and looked at what has happened to them since the U.S. invasion. And you have a senator here who talks about, poor Iraqis, and we want to make things better, and yet continues to vote for funding for the war. These women say that the presence of U.S. troops have actually made their lives more miserable, don't provide them security, they want the U.S. troops to leave, and they want our funds not to fund war, but to fund the rebuilding of their country. So we take the report, we say, your funding of the war is making the lives of Iraqi women more miserable and is taking money away from our communities. So it's just an example of how you can put something together very quickly. We wrote a quick press release, we send it out. Who knows if press will show up or not, but if you don't try it, you'll never get anywhere. So it's anybody who can come with us, we will show you how you can quickly put together an action that at the very least, will have some impact in pressuring her office. Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you, Michelle. Thank you for meeting with us. So if I could tell you a little bit about this, Women to Women International is a wonderful organization, and it was started by an Iraqi woman whose family fled the regime of Saddam Hussein. She's quite an amazing woman, Zainab Salbi, and was originally thinking that the U.S. intervention was going to be good to help liberate people from Saddam Hussein. In fact, they did a report that came out in 2004 that showed the majority of women hopeful about their future, feeling that the overthrow of Saddam Hussein was going to be a good thing for them. This is a follow-up study. It was a survey of 1,513 Iraqi women from different parts of the country. 70% of the women said their families didn't have enough money for the basic needs. The majority said, and listen carefully to this because I never thought I would be, hearing this, is that it was better under Saddam Hussein. And they were asked, well, is the presence of the U.S. making things any better? 71% said they don't feel protected by the U.S. soldiers, and 65% said that the security forces from the United States are only making matters worse. And funding the war is hurting the Iraqi women, and it's hurting us here at home. And so we're really calling on her to look deep down into her conscience and to recognize that fact. And when the next $100 billion is coming up in the next couple of weeks for more money for war, will she please not give George Bush one more dime for this war, and instead use that money to both rebuild Iraq and rebuild our needs here at home for education, healthcare, infrastructure, and other basic needs.
Iraqi women want peace, not war.
You're welcome.